Hello Year 3, welcome to today's English lesson. Please could you make a start by writing the date and the title in your book. I'm actually just going to move my face to this corner, there we go. Okay, so remember you can pause the video if you need a bit more time to do that. Okay, so a new addition to our English lessons is going to be that we are going to do a quick reading comprehension at the start of every English lesson. Now, it is designed to just be a quick activity. What will happen is I will display a short text for you to read on the screen, and then on the other side of the screen there will be some questions for you to answer about the text. The idea behind the text is that it's called a 60-second read. So you can see that here on the screen, 60-second read. So that is because it's just a very short amount of text. And the idea is that hopefully by the end of your time in primary school that you are able to read to a certain speed, and you're able to read a certain number of words in a minute. And the idea is that the number of words that are in these texts you would be able to read within a minute. Now, I don't want you to panic and worry if it takes you longer than a minute. That's absolutely fine. That's the reason we're introducing these now, so that we get more practice. And of course, this is the first one we've ever done. So please don't worry, please don't panic about it. So I'll just click to the next slide and show you. So, oh dear, my face is blocking the question. I'm going to bring my face back down. I'm going to put me in the middle. There we go. Okay. So it will look like this. So you will have the text on this side, very short. It's just 2 paragraphs this time. And then you will have the quick questions on the other side of the page. And there's just 4 questions. So it hopefully won't take you very long. But the reason we're doing this is because we need to make sure that you are still reading whilst you're at home. And we know that you've probably got lots of books and things that you are busy reading. And I know that some of the children in Italy have been showing me on our class Zoom calls the books that they've been reading at home, which is amazing. But just for us to be able to see, we would like you to answer these questions and then post your answers onto Seesaw so we can see how you're getting on, and so that we can see that you're keeping up with your reading. Okay, so I'm not going to read the text to you because I really would like this to be an opportunity for you to be reading it yourself, and then to answer the questions in your book. On the next slide of the video, we are going to go through the answers, but I would ask you not to go straight to that slide and look at the answers. I would like you to have a go at doing the questions first, and then we can go through the answers together and you can mark your own. So when you upload your work to Seesaw, you can then upload it marked so that you've actually gone through, like we would do in our guided reading lessons when we do the comprehension activity on a Friday, and then the following Friday we go through them together and you mark your own, because it means that you are able to see where you went right, where you went wrong, and that's has more of an impact when you mark it yourself, not just when an adult comes along and ticks it for you and you just look at the ticks. It has more of an impact when you've actually had a chance to read through your own answers and mark them yourself, okay? So I would like you to pause the video here. You can take as long as you need, and you don't need to copy out the questions. You can just write number 1 and then your answer next to number 1. So the first question is just asking you for one word. It says find and copy a word. So in that case, in your book, you would just write the number 1 and then your word as the answer. So it doesn't need to be loads and loads of writing of you copying out all the questions and everything. Okay, I think that is everything I needed to say. So I would like you to pause the video here and have a go at answering those comprehension questions. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to read that text, answer the 4 questions. I am just going to very quickly go to the next slide and talk through the answers. Okay, so obviously the text was about somebody called Billy Edwards, and he is talking about the fact that he's better than anyone else in the school at the annual sports day egg and spoon race, and he's been preparing for months. He's driven his dad mad by running up and down the stairs with a hardboiled egg balanced on the smallest teaspoon. Sometimes if he was feeling particularly brave, he wouldn't boil the egg first, and that was a real test of skill. Wonder why? That's one of the questions actually, so we'll have a think about that. And then at last, his moment of glory had arrived and he was at the starting line, determined to win first prize at the annual sports day. I wonder if he did. It's left us on a bit of a cliffhanger there, hasn't it? Okay, question 1. So question 1 was find and copy a word which tells you that the egg and spoon race only happened once a year. The word that we were looking for was annual. Can you see that word there? Okay, so you can accept the word annual. If you answered that, you can give yourself a tick. If not, that's okay. You can put a little dot next to it like we would do when we mark your work, and then you can write the correct answer next to it. Annual means something that happens every year. Okay, so for example, sports day, the example in the text. Other things that are annual that happen every year: Christmas is annual. Easter, things that happen once a year, every year. Okay, so that's that word there. Question 2, name 2 things that Billy was not very good at. So up here, right at the beginning, you can see it starts by saying there weren't many things that Billy Edwards was good at. He couldn't hold a tune, he couldn't spell, and he couldn't get 10 out of 10 on his mental maths test. Oh dear, he's not feeling very positive about himself, is he? That's a shame. So the question, I'm just going to point out, the question specifically asks for 2 things. So name 2 things that Billy was not very good at. If you haven't done 2 things, you won't get the point for that question. So you do have to read the question carefully and see what it's asking you for. Although there are 3 things listed in the text, the question is asking you for 2. So you could have put he wasn't very good at singing or holding a tune, he wasn't very good at mental maths tests, or he wasn't very good at spelling, but you only will need 2 of those written down as your answer. Question 3, why would boiling the eggs first be a real test? So hopefully you wrote something like, if you boil the egg first and you drop it, then it's not going to make much of a mess, is it? But if you don't boil an egg first and you drop it, it's going to smash, it's going to spill, and there's going to be raw egg everywhere, and it's going to cause much more mess. So it was more risky it's riskier by not boiling the egg first. And question 4, at last his moment of glory had arrived. What does this sentence tell you about what Billy was expecting to happen? So in this sentence, it's saying his moment of glory. Now he's viewing this race as his time to shine, his moment of glory. So he is expecting to win the race. And that's what that sentence tells you. He's not saying, oh, and finally the dreaded time arrived. He's saying at last his moment of glory had arrived. He couldn't wait for this moment. He was pretty sure he was going to win and be successful, so he was really excited for it. So hopefully you wrote something along those lines. Okay, so that's our quick guided reading session. I will be putting one of these texts in every English lesson for you to have a go at, so we can keep up those reading skills. Okay, now my face is in the wrong place again. Let me move me up here. Okay, so during this English unit, we are going to be going on some adventures. We're going to be using this book here that is called Atlas of Adventures, and I've got the actual book here. It's quite a big one. There we go. That's probably backwards for you, I think, isn't it? But anyway. So it's called Atlas of Adventures. It is a brilliant book. It takes you through different places in the world, and we're going to be going on adventures to different countries and different places and exploring what they're like. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to keep track of all of the different places we go to. So your first task for today's lesson is you are going to create your own passport. So when you go on holiday, some of you might know this already from where you've been yourselves, but when you go on holiday, you have to have a passport. You have to have that document that shows who you are and shows that you can travel. And then when you get to each country, they put a stamp inside your passport to show that you have been to that country. And any adults that are at home helping you with your learning might be able to show you their passports with some stamps inside, or you might even have your own passport with some stamps inside. So we're going to create your own passport for this unit of English work, so that every time we go on a different adventure, in every lesson when we visit a different country, we're going to imagine that we're visiting a different country. We're going to end the lesson by putting a stamp in your passport to show all of the different places we've been to. So when we finish the unit of work, we can look back in your passport and we can see all of the different places we explored through this unit of work. So this is just the first page of the book that I put in here, just to read this out before you create your passport, just to read this bit here where it says, "This book celebrates the great diversity of our planet. With every turn of the page, you'll come across different animals, peoples and sights unique to each of the four corners of the globe. Look out for our two adventurers in every scene as you travel through the book. What do they discover and who do they meet? Follow their journey and be inspired to set out on your own adventures. The world is your oyster. What will you find today?" And then there's some different places: Finland, England, Scotland, France, India, Korea, Egypt, Israel, Russia, all these different countries on the page here that are featured in the book. Now, we're not going to have time in this unit of work to go to every single one of these places, unfortunately, but we will be going to a selection of them. So, making your passport, step one, you will need a plain piece of paper or a page that you take out of your exercise book. If you haven't got any plain paper, that's fine as well. And what you need to do with your piece of paper is fold it in half, like it is showing you in that picture there. So if you need more time to go and find a piece of paper or take one out of your exercise book, you can pause the video here, but make sure that you have folded it in half before you play the video again to move to the next slide. Okay, and making your passport, step two, is to design the front cover of your passport. So on this bit here at the front page, you are going to design it so it looks like an actual passport. And I've put some pictures of what actual passports look like. Of course, you might have passports at home that you can look at the real deal. There are two different versions, because we used to have this burgundy, this dark red version here. Now some people do have this blue version, but you will see that they are still very similar. They've got the same sort of picture on the front, and they either say British passport, or, you know, it says United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland passport. So you can copy those pictures there. You can pick which one you would like to copy onto the front of your passport. So pause the video here and take some time to design the front cover of your passport. Okay, so as I said before, every time we go on a new adventure and visit a new place, you will add a stamp to the inside of your passport. And you might have been lucky enough to have been on holiday and have your own passport and seen this happen in real life and see stamps in your passport, or the adults that you live with might be able to show you their passport. But I've put a photo on the screen, a picture of a passport and the stamps and how they look. And they do look a bit strange because every country has their own version of the stamp. So sometimes it's a round one, sometimes it's rectangle, sometimes it's like an oval shape like that. It usually has the date on it that you travelled, that you entered, and then sometimes when you leave they do a second stamp with the date that you left. and it says the name of the country. So this one here you can see says St. Lucia. And so what we're going to do is at the end of every lesson, when we've been to a new place, you're just going to draw in the inside of your passport a stamp. You can design how the stamp looks for each place. It's completely up to you, and you can put the date on it, so that we're creating your own record of the places we've been to. Okay, so to start us off, we're just going to have a look at the second page of the book, which is the world map. Okay, and on here on the world map there are the names of different continents. So you've got North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australasia and Oceania, Antarctica, and you will notice that every one of them starts with a capital letter at the beginning, and capital letters are going to be a big feature of this English unit. Because we have to use a capital letter for something called a proper noun. Down here, I've put it in this yellow box down here. When something is a proper noun, that means it is the name of something. So that's why we use capital letters for names, for people's names, like Mrs. Jones, capital M and a capital J. For your names, you would use a capital letter. For the names of shops, you would use a capital letter. If you said, I'm going to Tesco, you would use a capital T because it's the name of the shop. And it's just the same for the names of places and countries and continents. So all of these on here start with a capital letter, and it's usually a good way to help you see where there is the name of a place, because it might be the name of a place that you've never heard of before, that you can't quite read or don't know how to pronounce, but it's a good indicator that if it starts with a capital letter, you pretty much know that it's the name of a place. So you can be looking out for that as we're reading this book. Okay, we're zooming in now. So we started here on the world map where we were looking at the whole world and all of the continents and different places. And now we are zooming, we're going to zoom in on Europe here. Okay, so this page is the zoomed in version of Europe. I wonder if you can take a couple of minutes to find where the United Kingdom is, which is where we are. So England is a country inside the United Kingdom. I wonder if you can have a look at this map of Europe and see where the United Kingdom is. Pause the video here and have a really good look. Okay, so hopefully you were able to see that the United Kingdom is up here, okay? And we know that the United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries. We have England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Okay, so we have Northern Ireland up here. We have Scotland. We've got England. Oh no, sorry, that's England and Wales over here. Okay, not the greatest highlighting on there, but you get the rough idea. Those are the 4 countries that make up the United Kingdom. So that is where we are in the world, okay? In today's lesson, we are going to be flying to Finland, okay? So what I would like you to do is I would like to pause the video again here and have a really careful look and see if you can find where Finland is. Off you go. Okay, Finland, up here, okay, next to Sweden and Norway, and we are going to be journeying to Finland and having a look at what it is like in Finland. So we're going to imagine now that we're going to get on a plane, we're going to board the plane, we're going to imagine that we're sitting down, we're in our seat, we're ready for the plane to take off, we've got the flight attendants coming around saying, oh, please make sure your seat is upright and your tray table is up. and the pilot's making their announcement over the tannoy saying, welcome to the flight, thank you for joining us, we'll be arriving in Finland at 2 p.m. So you're going to really imagine that you're on that flight and we are getting ready to fly to Finland. And we've landed, and here we are in Finland. You will see there is a capital F for the start of Finland because it is a proper noun, it's the name of a place. Okay, so I don't want you to worry too much about the words on this page because I know that they're probably a bit too small for you to read, especially if you're looking at this on a tablet or a phone. So don't worry about the words. We're not actually going to be reading the words on this page in today's lesson. We're just going to be thinking about the pictures and what we can see. So I would like you to look really carefully at this page of Finland and think about, what does it look like? What can you see? What's the weather like? What kind of animals are there that you can see? And I would like you to just do a mind map in your book. You can put Finland in the middle of the page with a little bubble around it or a cloud around it, and then mind map words and phrases of what the weather is like, what you can see, what animals you can see, different things like that. So I want you to pause the video here and give yourself 5 minutes or so to create a mind map of all of the things that you can see going on in this picture here of Finland. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you were able to spot that the weather is cold in Finland, okay? It's snowy. People are wrapped up. People are wrapped up really warm. There's snow covering the ground, so hopefully you had that on your mind map. There are igloos, so hopefully you had igloo written down on your mind map. You've got trees in the background with snow covering them, on top of them. You've got animals such as foxes, you've got squirrels down here, you've got snowy owls, you've got reindeer, you've got like husky dogs here. So hopefully you had all of those things written down and you were able to really kind of feel what it's like in Finland and how it is different to the United Kingdom and England, even though yeah, we have had snow recently, haven't we? But this is what the weather is like all of the time here in Finland. And obviously it's not like that all of the time for us. So you can start to think about the differences between where we live in the United Kingdom and where people live in Finland. Okay, now there is a video that I have screen recorded for you to watch. So I've put the link in the video description. So if you pause this video, minimize it if you've got it on full screen, and then come out, look in the video description on the YouTube page and click on that link that's there for you to watch. There is a video which shows you a holiday resort in Finland, and as you're watching, I would like you to think about what you can see and what it feels like in Finland. So pause the video here and watch that video now. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully that video has given you an even better idea, because the book is great, but obviously it is just cartoon pictures and it can be hard to get a proper feel. So hopefully that video gave you more of a real life feel for what it's like to go to Finland. And you could hopefully see the contrast between what it's like outside and there's just thick snow everywhere, and then what it's like to be inside, where they create these really cozy spaces with fires and lots of wood around and things like that. So yeah, hopefully, and if any of you have actually ever been to Finland, then even better, because you'll know what it's like, or maybe you might want to visit there one day now that you've watched that video. Okay, so the activity for today's lesson is a very short one because we're going to be focusing on how to use something called a simile, this word here, a simile. Now, a simile is where we describe something as being like something else. And we have looked at similes before in descriptive writing that we've done. So you've all had a chance at using a simile in your writing. And some of you even used similes in your poems that you did, your magic box poems, which is fantastic. So in order to use a simile in your writing, you need to use the word like. And so you're all going to have a practice of writing your own simile for today's activity. So I want you to really think about the fact that you've landed in Finland, okay? The plane has landed and you're just about to get off of the plane. You're getting your bag and everything down, and the adults that are with you are sorting all their things out, and you're just waiting for the doors to open, and then eventually the doors open, you start walking down, you step out, the cold air hits you, pierces your skin because it's that cold, and then in front of you, imagine that you can just see white snow, okay? And I want you to come up with a simile to describe what the snow looked like, okay? And I've got some examples that I'm going to give you in case you're struggling to think of something. But the first step is to think of things in the world that are white, okay? And so I thought of a blank piece of paper, or icing sugar is white, okay? And then I thought, okay, well, what is the snow like? Well, the snow it's covering everything. So you could say something like, the snow looked like a soft white blanket covering everything. That would be an example of a simile. Or you could say, the snow looked like a blank piece of paper ready to write on. Because if you imagine a crisp white piece of paper that's got nothing on it, is just like a blank canvas ready to write on. And that's similar to how the snow looks in Finland, because you've just got white snow that's just got nothing on it, and it's just a blank piece of paper ready for somebody to go and jump in and make a snow angel, or build a snowman in, or something like that. So you could say the snow looked like a blank piece of paper ready to write on. Or you could say the snow looked like icing sugar covering the ground. Okay, so I've given you 3 examples of similes there that you could use in some way, change to make them your own, or you could come up with something completely different. But what I would like you to do is have a go at writing your own simile to describe what the snow looked like when you stepped off the plane. And I would like you to write that simile with a capital letter at the beginning and a full stop at the end, and then upload that to Seesaw for today's lesson, so that I can have a look and see how you managed to get on with that. Okay, so pause the video here and have a go at writing your simile now. Off you go. Okay, and finally, to finish our lesson, you will need to get your passport out, because we have been to Finland now in today's lesson. We're actually going to go back to Finland in tomorrow's lesson. But I would like you to add your stamp in your passport. You don't have to use an actual stamp. When I say a stamp, I mean you to just draw a stamp, what a stamp would look like. I've done 2 examples here, but you can design your stamp however you like. And if you would like to take a photo and upload that to Seesaw, then that's great. If not, that's okay. You could always leave it till the end of the unit and take a photo with all of your stamps in there, and upload that at the end of the unit. That's okay. So you could either just go for something simple like this one here on the left, where it just says Finland, or you could go for something over here which has got the date on it. You can change that date, obviously, for today's date. Helsinki is the capital of Finland. So you would probably fly into the capital and then travel to wherever you were going. So that's why I've added that in there. So you can decide how you would like your stamp to look, okay? So pause the video here, have a go at drawing your stamp into your passport. I'm really looking forward to seeing your similes, and keep up the hard work.